Hey, welcome to Kate Crafts. I'm Kate, and I sound a little funny. I'm a little bit sick still, but I've had this video that I've been sitting on since I got sick, and I wanted to share it with you. So, I'm sorry if my voice is a little upsetting and you want to skip this one out. That's perfectly fine, but I'm gonna try my darndest to explain the process of this to you. So what we've got here is we've got the Lawn Fawn's new Radiant Heart backdrop die. And I've cut a panel just a little bit bigger than what I need, and I've mapped out with a pencil where I need to bring my color. Now, does this really matter? Not really, but I was being a little over technical with this, and it turned out that it really didn't matter. But what I've got here is some spun sugar in the middle, and then I'm bringing in some tumbled glass. And then I'll bring that in towards the middle, and then that way I can come in with that shaded lilac. Now, I'm going a little bit heavy-handed with this because I really want this color saturated. This will dry back a little bit and lighten up, which I'm perfectly okay with. My shaded lilac is super juicy here, so I'm trying not to do too much to where it's uneven, but it will dry back and it will even out a little bit. So I'll go back and forth with all those colors until I'm happy with the blend, and then we could move on to the next stage here. So as you can see, I'm creating like a little bullseye. So again, back in with that pink to blend it back out, and then I'll come back in with that tumbled glass to bring it back in, just so you get that little bit of a halo. Now, when I was making this, I kind of wasn't really figuring out what I was doing. It was kind of on the fly, if you know what I mean. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm kind of a little medicated right now. Can't really tell by my voice, but I sound like one of Marge Simpson's sisters. So, next we are going to use some fine tech iridescent watercolors, and we are going to use this black. And I'm going to load up my paintbrush here, and we are going to do a little bit of splatter here. And I just love this little black splatter that we've got going on. It just really pops with that light pastel background. So once I'm happy with the amount of splatter, no, we'll come in with a tab like this. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a finer splatter too, just to give it a little more dimension. It's almost like a pastel galaxy, if you will. So these are the colored pencils that I'm going to be using. Don't worry if you didn't catch that. I will be sure to link everything, or describe everything in the description box below. Not necessarily link, but you know what I mean. I'll leave all the color numbers in the bottom there. I'm sorry. I really should be taking a nap right now. As I'm recording it, it is Christmas Eve, and I am in my living room, sitting next to the Christmas tree, all cozied up in my snuggly wuggly PJs and fuzzy socks, and really trying hard not to be too bummed out that I'm sick. I've had to skip out on family Christmas parties for the last 2 days. I mean, I do enjoy getting around and hanging out with everybody, but at the same time, I really do need to get myself better. And it's no way to spend Christmas holidays, but at least I'm not missing work, I guess. Anyway, so I'm just going in here with this, it's like a colorless blender, kind of like in the Copics or the Ohuhus, and it just blends out that color just to give it a little bit of a more smoother finish. And I end up going back in, I believe, with some alcohol, with an alcohol ink marker that's supposed to be a blender for this. You could do it with either the Ohuhu one or the, what do you call it? The Copic one. If you don't want to wreck them, it's, you don't have to. You could probably get a Q-tip with some 100 per 99, I think it's 99 isopropyl isopropyl alcohol. I can't say it. You could do that too. I went a little heavier with this one and kind of blended it out some, and I wasn't sure how I felt about it. But you can see out of focus here that I've got one of those things, and it's almost like it just melts the crayon a little bit more. Now, I did this This is actually my second rodeo. The first ones that I did, I actually, I don't know, I think I put too much down or something, and it just went all wonky on me. And I don't know, I think I put too much alcohol down, but maybe it was that I colored them. I don't know. I've been sitting on this video for like a week, and it's been eating at me, and I feel bad for not posting, how I had all those markets that I was doing and I didn't find the time to, prioritize properly, and or at least that's how I felt. And I'm not beating myself up in the least. You only have so many hours in a day, but I've been sitting on this video and I wanted to share it with you, and I know it's not a Christmassy video, but I really like how it turned out. I thought it was absolutely adorable, and I know exactly who I'm going to be giving this card to when the time is right. So, they don't know it yet. But so what I've done here is I've cut this out, and I probably should have cut it a little bit more. So I'm going to line everybody up real quick, and then I'll run that back through my die press again so I could get a better cut. And then now you've got all these little bits here that you're going to need to poke out. So I'm just going to take my little Cricut pokey tool, and I'm just going to go around and poke those guys out. And you got all these little sprinkles here that you could save, but we're not going to. So I'm going to go around with my pokey tool on the paper and poke all of these little guys right out. And once we are going to, well, I won't suffer you through all the poking of the pokey tool because this probably took me the most time out of the whole card. There we go. So we're almost done here. And once this is done, then we could layer this on top. Now you could layer this on top any color cardstock you want, but in my last video, I used a really gorgeous holographic paper, and Jamie from Inky and Scrappy did tell me that it was from Joann's, their house brand. I think it's called Park and Lane or Lane and Park or something like that. We don't have Joann's in Canada, or at least where I'm at, but it is in Michigan, and I think the closest one's maybe 45 minutes away, so I don't get over there often. And yeah, but if I do get a chance to go over there in the spring, then I will definitely be checking for that paper. So all I'm doing here is I am taking some little tiny square foam tape, and I believe this is from Thermal Web. I had gotten I used to have a package delivered to me every month from, I think it was Scrapbook and Cards Today, and this was one of the items that I got in it. There was no packaging with it, it was just a little sheet, and then the little write-up about what was in the package said it was Thermal Web, and that's what I wrote on the back of these little squares, so I'm 100% sure these are Thermal Web. So once I've gone ahead and stuck them all down and I've peeled off all the backing, and we're going to move that off to the side once I've cleaned everybody off, we're going to come back in here and we are going to layer up that piece of paper, that beautiful, gorgeous, holographic, shiny paper that I think I have one more piece left of. And we are going to line that as best as we can. I know it's such a challenge. Okay, I think we're good now. So look at how pretty that is. I absolutely love, love, love that holographic shine. So next up, I have my little covered mochis here. And you can see the difference in the thickness of the foam tape that I've got. I think these are just the squares that I have from the dollar store. And that gives me a little bit of dimension, but not enough to layer up to the height of the card itself that I've layered up on, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to mess around with placement here. I'm not sure exactly how I want to do it. Now that I look at it, that other way would have been cute too, but I think once I've decided on what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to take him and I'm going to move him down just a smidge, so that way you don't really see anything between, and that way we can glue everybody down. So I am going to add a little bit of glue to the back of this one right here, and then we're just gonna plop her on. She's so cute. And then we're going to take this little girl here in the purple, and we are going to give her a little bit of glue and then plop her down right there. And you can see how adorable that little trio is. But we're going to need a sentiment. So I've got a scrap piece from what I cut apart there, and we're going to tape this down to the paper on my Misty, and we are going to take the little "You Mean So Mochi" to me, or whatever that says. I'm not sure, I forget what the beginning said in the card. Forgive me. I've had to pause this video a couple of times or the voiceover so I could cough. It's awful. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, so we're gonna layer that down onto that paper, and we're gonna get some Stazon ink because this type of paper surface is very slippery, and I tried it out with some regular ink, and it was just a little bit too much. And since this is the first time I'm stamping, I wanted to make sure I got a good stamp, so I stamped that out on a piece of paper, and then I just gave it a light tap, and then I added some more ink, and I let that sit there for just a minute, and I made sure to put back the little plastic casing that came on top of that so it doesn't dry out. Give it a little rub, and it stamped out really nice. So I'm just going to eyeball here how much I need to cut off, and then we're going to flag the ends. Now this is like my least favorite part because I never seem to get them as even as I would like to. But here we go, trying our bestest, as best as we can. Still wasn't totally pleased with how I cut everything, but you know, it's a homemade card, so I don't think the person who's going to receive this is really going to notice how off-center those cuts were, but we could be our own worst critics, right? So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some of my Barely Art glue to the edges here, and that way I get a good, nice, flat sentiment. I'm going to grab my T-square ruler here, and we're going to go upside down because I don't trust my judgment at this point. And this is kind of like the be-all, end-all. If I place this wrong, then I'll you know, I don't want to get frustrated. So we are going to be safe than sorry. We're going to, you know, have this flipped around, and then I'm just going to line it up as best as I can, and then give that a little smoosh over, and then we're going to pat that down. So once that's done, all it needs is a card base, but I'm going to go in with my Micron pen here, and we're just going to add a couple little subtle hearts because, I don't know, I thought that would be kind of cute to add with the splatter, so it almost looks like you've got splattered hearts. Now, you could go ahead and add in some of your jewels here, or sequins, or anything else that you'd like once you've added enough hearts. And once I've added enough hearts, I think I've gone with two different sizes of pens here. I think I had the 0.8 and the 0.5. Yeah, my notes say 0.8 and 0.5 micron fine liner pens. So there you have it. You mean so muchy, so mochi to me. And you guys do. I really appreciate you sticking around and hanging out with me, and I hope to see you all in the new year. And as always, thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.